Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. And what's on tap for today? Well, we're continuing our series on the Vice debates, where they brought in people from all walks of life, all backgrounds. These were gun owners, and they were conservatives, liberals, progressive, independents, from all backgrounds. They were being asked questions on why they own guns, what they thought about them, Second Amendment, gun laws, policing, defund the police, all these questions. We're going to get into all that, folks, in the next few seconds. But before we do, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you think. Let's get to the video right now.
Defend myself and my children against two guys who have AR-15s. Tell me how. And you said yourself that the police may not make it there in time. Tell me how.
You know what? The best chance you got in a situation like that is to get out the house.
She just stated that they reach
30
far.
rounds a piece? That's 90 rounds of bullets firing through the home.
I can outrun that?
You need to get out of the house.
Oh, sir, I stand my ground. Sorry.
Thank you all for. A lot of the conversation around guns is driven by mass shootings, and particularly school shootings. What is the solution to mass shootings in schools?
More protection for our children, not creating a prison environment. We need to make sure that they understand that the police are their friends and they're there to protect them. Education is what's going to empower everybody. So we need to educate them on all levels, not just firearms, not just school security, but how to take care of themselves and each other.
I was one of those kids who was trained that way and raised that way, not to be super dramatic about it, but things took a turn for me, and I could have been one of the kids on the other side of that gun. I fantasized about it. I was reading things. Of course, you become secretive as a result of this. You hide from the people who know you the most. There's a protectiveness around these issues that is very difficult to penetrate because it is so bound up in our sense of safety and our sense of family. And it's very difficult to address these because what makes one person safe does not necessarily make someone else feel safe.
I think that mental health is important. Like
Yes.
you said, sometimes your mind went to other places, and that's what I'm saying, that we need to empower them, because without mental health, without good mental health, you can't make any decisions about anything else in a healthy, productive manner. So we need to start empowering our children's minds and taking care of their mental health first and foremost.
I am living proof of the fact that the problem does exist and it does haunt people. And I was able to come back from a place that other people might not be able to come back from. And I'm not saying it's a danger for everyone, but I'm saying we can't reach everybody that way. Every community is different. Every community has needs, and the needs need to be addressed. That's why I don't think there's a hope for a federal change that will solve school shootings, or maybe even a statewide change, because states are big and house lots of different populations.
That gentleman over there made some very nice points. He made some very nice points. And, obviously, he said he was in some dark places at some time when he was growing up, and he could have been on the other end of that. But that just goes to show you what he was basically saying is that, listen, folks, we can talk about it. Talk is cheap, but there is nothing that we can do to stop violence from occurring. We can't stop evil from occurring. We can't stop any of this. And if you say, for example, that all you're going to do, let's say, for example, that you had that magic wand, you could just take the guns away immediately. All right? You don't think people are going to come up with other ways of doing something? You don't think they're going to come up with ways, bombings of some kind, or using a knife, or using, a machete, using some other weapon of some kind? You don't think that's going to happen? You don't think people are going to start to think of other ways to do something? You don't have to have, a gun is not the only weapon that can be used. Now, yes, you can say for mass shootings, but let's say, for example, somebody uses some less other means, and instead of 50 people getting killed, somebody utilizes some other weapon, a sword, a machete, a knife, or whatever, and ends up killing 5 or 6 people. Is that any less? I mean, in terms of numbers, yes, but the person still perpetrated it. What are we going to do? We're going to go knife manufacturers, bomb manufacturers, machete manufacturers, sword manufacturers. What are we going to do? We have to understand that the government, whether it's state, local, or federal, cannot police, cannot solve, cannot save everybody. It can in certain situations, if the timing is correct or whatever. It can do a lot of things. But if things are going on the ground immediately, what do you have yourself to protect yourself?
needs, and the needs need to be addressed. That's why I don't think there's like a hope for like a federal change that will solve school shootings, or maybe even a statewide change, because states are big and house lots of different populations.
I was in elementary school when Columbine happened and when the national sort of injection of those drills into schools happened. And it really messed up my sense of safety. I didn't personally feel more prepared from those drills. I felt afraid in a new place. By the time we're bracing our schools for a mass shooter, it's too late. And so I think that if we really want to address this, you need to look at why these kids are feeling so isolated in the first place. You need to look at what are the conditions of their community that they are existing in.
But we're operating in a reality where we see it and we keep brushing it under the rug. And our children are dying, and I get really frustrated about this focus on just mass shootings and just school shootings, because our kids are not safe anywhere. They're not safe in their homes. They're not safe in their neighborhoods. And I think the real solution is not to bring more guns into the situation. I think it's really to invest in people, invest in our kids and their wellness.
If we're continuously working on ourselves and seeking help for things that we need, I think things will get better in the long run. But some people have, the pride's a little high. And I think that's just something that we need to bring down and, again, normalize seeking help and that being okay.
And the money's a little low. And the access to healthcare is a little low, too.
But it's also improving. I've seen plenty of different options for kids, and there are counselors in school. There's anonymous things online. So as it wasn't a topic conversation before, it definitely is now. And it might be moving slow, but it definitely is moving in that direction.
Not in my neighborhood, though. And I tell you what's happening right now in our neighborhoods. You're traumatized. Here's a gun. Deal with it.
Now,
that's not the way.
Don't get me wrong.
And that's what I'm really struggling with. But in my neighborhood, people are dying. We're dying. And so we can't just sit here and say, hey, pull yourself up by your bootstraps when people are laying on the concrete.
One thing that came up earlier was universal background checks. And I'm curious, does everyone here support universal background checks on all gun purchases? And if so, why or why not?
If I want to give anyone on this panel a background check, I can't do it. I have to go to a store with a license, and they can do it. And they usually do it at a cost, right? Why don't we just open up the background check system? Like, why don't we give people the opportunity to have personal responsibility when they transfer firearms from person to person? We have vaccine passports. Why can't we have opt-in, firearm passports?
Universal background checks, in theory, sounds great. Well, I am a domestic violence survivor, right? Say I have to go to this medical professional, this mental health person, and I have to explain to her why I want this firearm. Based off of her own biases about me as a Black woman, Army veteran, survivor of domestic violence, she may say, because of those things, I should not be allowed to own and use a firearm for my own self-defense. So how do we decide who gets to have the firearms based off of their mental health background and who doesn't?
The background check system does save lives. And I think there are some tragedies that could have been avoided if we had a stronger background check system. Charleston, for example, young man applied for the background check after the deadline. They said, okay, well, we haven't seen any flags yet. Go ahead and purchase the firearm. And he went into a church and slaughtered Black folks. And I do think that there's real questions about bias and how these systems are applied and what the different flags look like. And I really think we have to get more focused on what is the goal here. Is the goal to preserve some perceived right, or is the goal to save lives?
So let's say somebody does this universal background check, and then there's an existing gun registry, and they register on it, and they've cleared all of these things, but then they still go out and commit a murder. There's no room with little green lights that says, because this person registered on all counts, we're keeping track of them, and all of a sudden this green light has gone off, and yes, we know this person's about to commit a murder. So again, speaking of prevention, what is that preventing?
But we do that with automobiles, right? If you get how many drunk driving incidents or speeding tickets, at some point your license gets revoked, right? Because they're like, hey, we don't entrust you with this car anymore because you could harm someone else or yourself.
He didn't even answer the question. She basically said what? That you go there, you have no priors, you have nothing inside there. Everything checks off fine. All the green lights are on. And they say, go ahead, you purchase the gun. Right? That's what she said. And then that person goes ahead and commits something anyways. So that he passed everything. Nothing that said that he had nothing in the previous background history that said he was, a malcontent, or that he had mental health problems, or he was committing any crimes of any kind. He was a perfect person. All right? All green. got the license, got the gun, went out there, committed some type of a shooting or whatever. She's saying, what do you do now? Where was the protection afforded? And this guy here basically says, well, we do that, for like car accidents or drunk driving, because they already had something done in the past, fool. The hell are you talking about? Something was already done in the past. They already had some violations of drunken driving. They already had some violations, with their car of speeding or recklessness or something, or a motor vehicle accident. So of course we do that thing for that, but that's because they had some checks before. Same thing here. If you've done something wrong, if you got some background, misdemeanor, felony count, or something in your the background check that comes up in as a flag, you're not going to be able to purchase a gun, at least not legally. Unbelievable. You guys don't even answer the freaking questions and when they do answer, it has nothing to do with the question that was asked.
But that is the thing, though, with firearms. When you have a weapons carry license and you commit a crime, they revoke your weapons carry license. But we're talking about if they haven't committed a crime yet, we can't predict. There's no way for us to know what's going to happen in the future.
But right now, our background check system has loopholes where even after you commit a crime, you still can keep your firearm or purchase your firearm.
So
I see what
illegally,
you're saying.
right? Illegally. So no law
legally.
or policy. There is
Not
no way to
legally. There's no
legally purchase a
legally.
firearm.
The
I know
boyfriend
what you're
loophole
talking
is a
about,
perfect
Jack.
one.
So that's illegal. I do this every day on the 4473. It's the ATF form you fill out to legally purchase a firearm. Are you the actual transferee or buyer of this firearm? So if I am a girlfriend and I'm buying a gun for my boyfriend, that is already a federal crime. It's already illegal.
The boyfriend loophole that I think you're speaking to, the fact that if someone assaults their girlfriend, if that doesn't necessarily go down in the record as the same way as if he assaults his wife. And so if you assault your wife, then that becomes something that forbids you from getting a firearm. But if you assault your girlfriend, even if you're convicted of that, it doesn't necessarily go on the record in a way that prevents you from getting a gun. We're not going to eliminate every person who wants to commit a crime. The goal is to bring the numbers down and to take out the ones we can. We don't live in a society right now where things are crushing it. So I kind of feel like some of these possibilities, there's always going to be drawbacks to things that we try and do.
I'm just going to call this guy Liberal Larry the loser, basically, okay? This guy is starting to get a little bit on my nerves here, a little bit. I mean, with the way he's just an unbelievable elitist, white, liberal, social justice warrior, woke, virtue signaling, unbelievably elitist. And he's just, this is the guy that's struggling. This is the guy that is so at odds with himself because he loves his guns. He wants to keep his guns, but he also wants to be a part of that woke, social justice warrior, virtue signaling crowd, elitist, liberal. That's what he wants to be. He wants to be invited to the parties. He wants to be able to smoke the dope with those guys, He wants to be able to have his marijuana. He wants to be able to do all those things. But he still can't understand, or they don't understand why he still wants his guns. To shun those questions, put them away. I'm with you on everything out there, wokesters, everything. But please let me have my guns, okay? Just let me keep my guns. Lefty Larry the loser.
I question whether they are worse than the amount of boyfriends who kill their girlfriends now.
I want to bring it back to the gun question because we keep talking about mental health.
So, anyways, folks, it's just, we just talk about that these guys continually, majority of the panel there, they're just trying to dance around this issue. And I can't stress enough how much virtue signaling is going on here. Because of the fact that each and every one, as I said before, they have their guns, they love their guns, they love to shoot their guns, but they just don't want to come out and say that, except for one or two people on the panel there. They just want to be able to be on the other side of the issue, saying that we're still with you on this here, and they're still on that liberal, progressive, woke signaling, social justice warrior stuff in terms of the Second Amendment or whatever. Anyways, we appreciate you taking the time to watch. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. Haven't done so, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Put your comments down below. Let us know what you think. And I'll let you know what I think. It's my final thought, which is when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.